everybody. It's your old pal Jesse. Welcome back to another edition of Gen X Thinks. Today we're going to talk about 3 things that everybody else does better than Generation X. And you can thank Mike K0135 for this idea. So if y'all want to get mad and blame somebody, blame Mike. He's the one that dared me to do it. Y'all know how he is, so don't blame me. I'm just the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. If you'd like to support the channel by buying me a cup of coffee, I'll leave the link down in the description. Thank you, and I really appreciate it. 3 things that everybody else does better than Gen X. Number 3, I'd say it is forget about the past. We have a problem letting go of the past. In our defense, I think that's because the 80s were so freaking awesome. We can't help but be nostalgic and think about the past, and then nowadays we have such direct and immediate access to it. We can listen to music from the 80s anytime we want, and the 70s. We can watch movies from the 70s and 80s anytime we want. I can sit down at the TV and pull up Smokey and the Bandit or Ferris Bueller's Day Off or anything in between, in the snap of a fingers. In a split second, I can be projected back into my childhood. So that makes it easier to be nostalgic nowadays, our technology. Even so, setting that part of it aside, it was just awesome times to grow up. There was no real big racial tension like the 50s and 60s. We didn't have all this kind of stuff. I mean, we had our apocalypses. If you've seen my other videos, yeah, that's true. I mean, it just wasn't in your face all the time back then, because you could walk away from the TV, and a lot of times we were by ourselves or with others our own age. So we would go off on our bicycles or doing whatever we were doing, and we didn't hear about that crap. We didn't go off riding our bikes down to the creek or whatever and then talk about the killer bees or the coming ice age. It wasn't constantly in your face like it is now, let's say. I mean, every time you open up Facebook or X or whatever your flavor of social media is, you see memes about politics and race and religion, and just it's a never-ending barrage of that stuff now. It's tough to get away from that crap. You can't separate yourself from it like we could back then. And a lot of kids now are targeted for that kind of stuff, even on their apps. Grown-ups will get on TikTok and target kids with this political crap and this ideological crap or whatever. So it's not the same. They don't even have the option of having the same kind of attitude and getting away from it like we did. Yeah, we're nostalgic. We find it difficult to let go of the past, but having said that, our past was awesome. Number 2, Gen X has a tough time, in my opinion, and as I've said before on these videos, I'm speaking for myself a lot of these times, so take it with a grain of salt. I believe these sentiments overall spread throughout our generation. I believe that Generation X has a tough time with authority. I know I do. Just some asshole telling you do this, do that with an attitude and stuff, a boss or a whatever. We do what we got to do to survive, go to work, but it'll rub you the wrong way. Getting yelled at for no reason or getting talked down to, because if you're like me, you're a giver of respect. And when you give respect, you expect it in return. And when that is not reciprocated, that'll piss you off. And a lot of authority figures, it seems like in my experience, authority figures seek out that authority to compensate for weaknesses in their own personality or in their own character. So they want to have power over others. And that helps them feel better about themselves, treating other people like shit. I know that's not a hard, fast rule 100%, but in my experience throughout life, that's more common than not. Not only that, but we've been lied to so many times by authority figures about everything, not just about apocalypses and stuff, but about everything. What's good for you to eat? How many times have we been lied to about that? Whether they knew it was a lie or not, I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into the political part of it. They told it like it was a fact. All right? Butter was the devil. It was bad for us. Now all of a sudden I'm finding out that the worst thing for you is that vegetable crap, that margarine vegetable oil stuff. Which one is true? Somebody's got to be lying there. They can't both be correct. And I know that since they got everybody eating that vegetable oil and frying everything in vegetable oil and all that stuff, the rate of obesity has gone up. It hasn't gone down. And heart attacks and all that stuff, all of our health problems have gone up. So that whole nationwide war on butter and fat, what good did it do? It didn't help us. I know that. It didn't help. When they argue both sides of the same argument, then one of them's got to be lying. And it was probably the same people who told both lies. So the lies, it's hard to respect people in authority when you know they're lying. Maybe trust is a good thing. I don't know. But if it's wrong to mistrust and to question, then I'll die wrong, because I'm not doing it. And I think that a lot of my fellow Gen Xers feel the same way. Not us. Go find somebody else. Find some other duck to trick and swindle. And number one, we don't identify as anything except Gen X. We don't identify as other things. We don't identify with people who identify as other things. And it's this identify has slowly been building, and now it's to really confusing proportions, but to identify as one thing or the other. Gen X is like the original ideal, or not the original, but one of the earlier ideals that America was supposed to be, the great melting pot. That's Gen X. We're just a melting pot. We're all different kinds of people. We all identify together. We don't really separate ourselves into boxes and identify away from each other. We're just Gen X. And I think, there are going to be specific individuals that want to identify and separate themselves. That's fine. I mean, to each their own. But as a rule, I think we have a problem identifying with other groups that pull us away from our 80s nostalgic heritage from each other, because we all had friends from other races and stuff, and especially if you had a really good friend growing up or in the army or whatever, and he or she was of another race, how can you separate yourself from that person? Or even better, if you have a family member that's of another race, how can you separate yourself from that person and say, I'm different from you. I identify as this. So we as a rule, we have a problem with that, all that identify stuff. And back then, Halloween was a really special time. I remember dressing up as Dracula and having so much fun pretending to be Dracula that it would have ruined it to try to identify as Dracula the other 364 days of the year. I knew I was pretending. I knew that the fun was going to be over. It was a special day, but that's what made it so special, because I was pretending. I didn't really believe I was Dracula. So there's that too. I think Halloween played a part in that, and that specialness of Halloween and that one day to pretend has gone away. So now people are just pretending all year round, or honestly believing that they're Dracula or a giraffe or whatever. So there's that kind of stuff. So we have trouble identifying outside of the Gen X group. And I'll leave you with that. Thanks for watching. I really sincerely appreciate it. I appreciate all of you subscribers, the new ones and the ones who've been around for a while. You know who you are. I appreciate you. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you have any more ideas for future videos. As I've shown you, I will take your idea and run with it, and you'll see it on YouTube, and I'll give you credit for the idea. Mike, thank you for this one. If you get some hateful comments, suck it up, dude. It was your idea. Thanks again for watching. Stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.